Hello everyone and welcome back to World of Isekai. Today this is the second episode of What If Luffy ate three devil fruits, and as we all know, these three devil fruits are store fruit that allows him to store the other devil fruit powers into his body. Strength fruit that allows him to grow stronger exponentially, and Gamu no Mi, obviously that is Hito no Mi model Nika, but we are going to call it Gamu no Mi for now. So let's continue our story from where we left in our previous episode, which is Straw Hat finally reaching the Grand Line and they finally met Laboon and Crocus. The accident did not change as everything happened the way it happened in the original timeline, and they still met Crocus and Crocus still told them about Laboon past, so everyone was quite sad about it. But Luffy, obviously being Luffy, he started to fight Laboon and finally declared that it is a draw despite clearly being able to defeat Laboon. He still called it a draw since he did not want to win right now, and he said that Laboon must wait for him until he returns and fight him once again. After that, nothing really changed. They still took Vivi and Mr. Prince into their ship and head straight to Whiskey Peak, where they still encountered those bounty hunters, and they still defeated those bounty hunters with rather ease. But this time Luffy and Zoro simply did not fight, simply because Luffy could still read their emotions and truth or lies. So obviously he's not going to fight his own crew for the liars. So after that they finally head straight to Alabasta. But on the way they encounter a lady who mysteriously arrives on his ship, and she was the first one to deliver him a new newspaper with a bounty poster that Luffy just recently received. Originally his bounty was around 50 million since he did fight against Mihawk, but after he truly fought against Garp and almost destroyed the lockdown, his bounty skyrocketed to 200 million berry. Obviously they would not increase it by a lot, but 200 million for a newly established pirate captain was a lot. And the person that brought this news was none other than Nico Robin. Obviously, but except Buggy, nobody truly recognized her. And even for Buggy, it took a while to recognize her, and after he recognized her, he also told a little bit of history about her, while also explaining that they truly need her, since if Luffy wants to find the One Piece, he must find 4-road poneglyph, and these 4-road poneglyphs must be translated by someone who understands the ancient language, and the only person who can understand the ancient language was none other than Nico Robin, since she was from Ohara. Hearing that, Luffy immediately invited her to join his crew, since he wanted to become the king of the pirate, and the only way to become king of the pirate was to find the road poneglyph and then find One Piece. So he had to invite her, but she obviously did not accept his invitation and said that unless they defeat her current boss, she would not join them. So it caused quite a lot of discussion into the crew, since Robin was talking about betrayal so easily, but Luffy was unfazed by it and he simply agreed, and he said that he will make her join his crew. Most of the crewmates were against it, since she could betray Crocodile, then she could also betray them, but Buggy was not. He had seen a lot of similarities between Luffy and his captain, so he knew that Luffy had a sense that allowed him him to see the emotions of people. It was not just observation haki. It was a different kind of feeling that only Roger had. So he believed Luffy, and because of him, the crew also decided to accept that. And this surprised Robin, as she did not understand how they could easily trust their captain so much. And after that little bit of discussion, Nico Robin finally left and they head straight to our little garden. But they still had eternal lock post. They did not decide to use it though. Buggy still managed to convince Luffy to not to cross it since it could be used in a difficult situation. He was a veteran pirate. He knew how the situation of different island could be. Some might take years to properly get their magnetic coordinates, so he still asked Luffy to keep it. Especially he gave it to Nami and did not ask her to follow it, instead follow normal route, but in case they don't have any choice, they will still use this. And because of this, Luffy still agreed, and they finally moved toward little garden. And after a while they reached little garden. Nothing really different happened here, except Luffy had not struggled for the battle anymore, and neither did his crew. Because of Luffy's strength, they were more motivated to get stronger, especially Buggy, Zoro and Sanji. They were the top combatant of Straw Hat Pirates, so they did not want to lose to Luffy that easily, and so they also trained quite a lot while maintaining their normal life in the ship. So after that, after Little Garden, they found that Nami was sick, and because of this they had no choice but to find an island. Thankfully, Buggy knew about an island that had a lot of medical people there, and so he decided to show them Kingdom, and it only took them few more days to reach there. On the way, they did encounter Wapol, and they immediately defeated Wapol with ease. And after they went to Drum Island, they still encountered the people against pirates, and these people were not allowing them to enter the island. Obviously, Luffy was not happy with that, and he wanted to use a little bit of Conqueror's Haki, but at this moment Bibi decided to step up and help Luffy, also make him a bit more humble. Of course, Buggy did not like this kind of attitude, but he still didn't say anything about it. Finally, they went to Drum Island, and after they could not find any doctor, they went to find Kureha and Chopper. Obviously, they eventually found them. Obviously, Luffy is going to use his Gear 4th to fly up to the mountain and find the doctor for Nami, so he didn't have to struggle there. After finding the doctor, Nami was cured, but they had no time to spend there, so obviously they kidnapped, or rather say invited, Chopper to join them. With that, Chopper has also joined the crew, and the crew finally head straight to Alabasta. And here are things that are going to be different. On one hand, Bibi wanted to stop the rebellion group. On the other hand, Buggy wanted Luffy to directly defeat Crocodile and then leave. Since they were quite opposite to each other, Luffy had to think about it. This was the time when he truly showed his leadership capacity, as he finally said that if they truly came and fought each other in the capital, he will knock every single one of them. He will not let any one of them get hurt. Hearing Luffy's idea, everyone else also agreed with that, and Vivi had also no choice but to put her trust in Luffy, and they finally decided to go to Rain Base, where they started fighting against Crocodile and his team. Obviously, there is going to be a major difference between Straw Hat Pirates and Baroque Work, since Baroque Work does not have that much of a powerful people, and they were easily defeated by Straw Hat. When Crocodile fought against Luffy, he used the entire desert to his advantage, but Luffy simply coated his hand with armament haki and conqueror's haki, then blasted Crocodile in a single strike. After that, with the help of Bibi and Buggy, they also found Crocodile's plan, and also Robin helped them establish the truth among other people. And when the rebellion finally came, they were easily knocked out by Luffy before even they could reach their weapons, and the fight did not even begin. Cobra also arrived and explained everything, and finally they decided to leave. But before leaving, Luffy once again invited Robin to join, and this time she agreed, but only on one condition, that she wanted to read the poneglyph that Alabasta had. And because Luffy was the savior of Alabasta, Cobra had no choice but to accept this tomb, and he took them to the Tomb of the Kings. Robin obviously read that, but she was not planning on revealing anything to Luffy and his crew. Surprisingly, none of his crew actually asked anything about it. For Luffy, the only thing that he wanted to know was the guideline to One Piece. So that guideline was hidden between 4 different road poneglyphs, and these were definitely not those road poneglyphs, so he had no interest about it. Buggy was a little bit interested, but seeing the distrust of Robin, he decided not to ask her about it, and they continued their journey from Alabasta. After a few days, this time Marine did not get a chance to cover the loss of Crocodile and what he planned to do against Alabasta. So this time Luffy's bounty was truly raised to 500 million belly, and at the same time his crew member also got a lot of upgrade, especially people like Buggy, Joro and Sanji. Obviously Sanji also got his bounty upgraded, since he showed quite a lot of power in his battle against Mr. 2 and other Brockwork agents. And Buggy's bounty was surprisingly raised to 200 million belly. Joro's bounty was also raised to 150 million belly, while Sanji's bounty was stagnant at 100 million belly. And unlike in the original, his picture was properly captured, so he still got his wish fulfilled, and his bounty was also 100 million, which was quite a lot. Other Strad did not get their bounties. Obviously none of them knew about it right now, so they still continued their journey to Jaya, where they eventually encounter Bellamy. Bellamy wanted to cross Luffy, as he did not believe someone like Luffy would have such a high bounty, and he tried to humiliate Luffy. But unlike Luffy and Joro, Buggy was a bit rebellious, and he did not care about dignity or anything at all. He was in fact quite opposite to Shanks, so he immediately fired at Bellamy, and with his Chop Chop ability, he easily defeated Bellamy. Luffy and Joro did not say anything, since they had their own ideas and their own belief. Luffy was a bit similar to Shanks, while Buggy was completely opposite to Shanks, and this is why Luffy did not say anything about Buggy's action, but he still admired Joro, who followed his command. Buggy commented that Luffy was just like Shanks, and he did not like that at all. but still he was quite happy that Luffy did not disagree to what he did. Nami, on the other hand, was absolutely happy with what Buggy did, since she did not want this pirate like Bellamy to humiliate their crew members, especially their captain. And Buggy was also proud of his action. He also did not care much about Luffy's command, and after that they finally retreated to the ship, and they also got the news from Robin about the guy who possibly knows about knockout stream that appears once in a while. Buggy already knew about Sky Island, and he also told them a lot about Sky Island, so all of them were excited to go there, especially Nami and Luffy for adventure, Nami for gold obviously. Buggy was also aligned with Nami since he also loved gold and treasures, so they decided to go to Sky Island. And after knowing that guy, they found that he knew the exact time when the knockout stream will appear, and with that guy's help, they finally reached Sky Island, where they encounter everything they originally encountered once Sandian that tried to attack them. And obviously Ganfall still arrived, and Buggy instantly recognized him, and he also took some time but still recognized Buggy. And after they talk about each other, finally Buggy dropped the bombshell into the crew as he revealed that his captain was none other than Gold D. Roger, the Pirate King, the man who achieved everything. And after hearing his origin, everyone was stunned. Like literally, they could not believe it. Robin even tried to ask him about the history, but Buggy simply said that you'll find everything in this journey. He also revealed that he did not go to Raftel, so he did not know much about the history as well. He was more interested in treasures. After that, Robin calmed down while everyone else got excited and started asking more about One Piece, especially Usopp. But obviously Luffy instantly fired up and shouted at Usopp not to talk about One Piece, since he was not interested in that right now. He wanted to find it himself. And hearing that, Buggy was still smiling, since he liked Straw Hat Luffy because he reminded himself of his captain. And after that, they continued to their journey toward Godland, especially the half part of Jaya where they were supposed to find the gold. And they did encounter Enel, but this time everything happened a lot different. Luffy and his crew easily defeated Enel's army, and when Enel faced against Luffy, Luffy coated his arm in armament haki and conqueror's haki and blasted Enel with a single attack. Remember, his armament was not an easy armament, it was high advanced level armament that could destroy someone from inside. Since he was a god, Luffy poured all of his strength into his attack, and when he truly punched, he killed Enel in a single strike. Like literally killed Enel in a single strike. Enel was a bit different than Crocodile. Not only Crocodile had a lot of endurance of his own, but he also could manipulate his sand and dodge most of the attack, while on the other hand, Enel was simply letting Luffy to attack him. He was not even trying to dodge it. So that happened. Like literally, Luffy literally blasted him, killed him in a single strike. Even Luffy was confused afterward, as he did not expect to kill a person like Enel, a god of Sky Island, in a single strike. After that, they collected the golds from Sky Island, and they also visited Angel Beach, where they eventually meet Konis. They had also freed Sky Island from the rule of Enel. The battle between Sandians and the people from Sky Island was none of their business. They just took the gold, met with few people like Kones, enjoy few days there, and finally decided to leave Sky Island. But by the time they left Sky Island, the battle between Sandians and the angels had finally ended, as they decided to live happily in harmony. And they also bid a huge farewell to Luffy and his crew. After that, Luffy and his crew finally landed on Grand Line, and more importantly the marine base, but they did not fight these marines, since Luffy easily picked up the ship with his strength and used his flying abilities to fly out of the fortress, and they continued their journey toward the next island. Luffy being Luffy, he still encountered Foxy, but the battle between him and Foxy happened a lot differently, since he could use observation haki. A lot of things were different, and even most of his crew could use observation haki. They easily won, and finally the result was same as before, but they still encounter Aokiji. And now the battle started. Now the battle was getting interesting, because Luffy finally got a chance to use all of his strength, and he was going to use all of his strength. He entered gear 4th and he started fighting against Aokiji. Obviously Aokiji was using his ice attacks against Luffy, while at the same time using his armament coated fist against Luffy. Since he had trained under Garp, his fists were quite strong. Aokiji decided to be serious against his battle with Luffy, and the battle against Luffy went on for almost 3 days. Since Luffy was not using his gear 4 all of the time, he still relied on his base form to fight against Aokiji, and with the help of Conqueror's coating he was able to fight Aokiji on an equal basis. But during this time he finally managed to push his body into another level, because right now Luffy had one weakness, and that was physical strength. And during his battle with Aokiji, his haki improved so much, his physical strength improved so much, that he could still continue for much more longer, and the entire island was already covered in ice. But Aokiji finally decided to stop this battle, since Luffy was just growing stronger, and more importantly he had no strength to take Luffy down right now. So he decided to leave as soon as possible, and after he left, Luffy rejoined with his crew, but he was quite hungry and he had lost a lot of his strength. But at the same time he was quite excited, since he had also gained a lot of strength. Like his physical strength has truly improved to another level thanks to his strength fruit. Since his battle against Aokiji lasted for 3 days, it also got the attention of media, especially because the entire island was destroyed, almost destroyed by Aokiji and Luffy attacks. This caused Luffy bounty to soar from 500 million to 1 billion barely, and this truly proved Luffy's strength to that of 4 emperors, and this truly put him above any newcomer or supernova. And as they start sailing toward Water 7, and there they also found icebergs who decided to check their ship, since it was quite torn apart, and because of this they decided finally to change the ship, especially Luffy, who had to overcome a lot of sadness to abandon his ship, since it could not sail anymore. Obviously everyone was okay with his decision except Usopp, because this ship means a lot to him, and during this time he was still conflicted whether to stay in the crew or leave. Although he was growing stronger with Luffy helping him train his observation haki and armament haki, but he was nowhere near the level of Zoro, Sanji, or even Buggy at all. So this caused him to feel inferior to others, and he was quite enraged by Luffy's decision to abandon the ship. So he decided to still fight against Luffy for this ship, and he still lost. This made the crew lose one member of their ship. Originally, CP9 tried to kidnap Robin, but this time she was not a coward, and seeing the status of her in Luffy's crew and how much they truly liked her, she did not want to abandon them at all. And because they also had power to even fight against an admiral, she was not worried about Buster Call. So she decided to ask for help, and Luffy gladly helped her. In fact, even Zoro and Sanji were enough, more than enough, to fight against CP9 at this moment, especially Sanji, who had eaten the Rumble fruit. Yes, after the death of NL, the Rumble fruit reincarnated into their ship by chance, and after they found out, they asked each other to eat this devil fruit. Obviously, there were quite choices among them, especially Nami, who had lightning attacks of her own, but she did not like the idea of eating the devil fruit, especially when she was the navigator. There was also a choice like Usopp, but since he was a sniper, the fruit like lightning fruit would be wasted on him, and everyone quite agree with that view. So finally Buggy suggested to let either Luffy eat this fruit or Sanji, but in case of Luffy it truly did not make any sense since his fighting style would completely have to change and adapt to lightning. So finally Buggy persuaded Sanji to eat this fruit since they might have to face 3 admirals or at least 2 admirals in the future, especially with their threat level. Admirals will chase them, and especially the place they were going next was quite close to Navy headquarters. They might send 2 admirals, which would be quite devastating for their group since in their group only Luffy could fight against an admiral. So he suggested Sanji to eat this devil fruit since it will allow him to fight, at least properly defend against an admiral, one specific admiral, which was none other than Kizaru. Although Sanji was struggling quite a bit, he still accepted the devil fruit and ate it. After eating the devil fruit, he finally became lightning user, and right now he could easily defeat those CP9 agents all by himself since they could not even touch him with his Logia devil fruit powers. So with him and Zoro, they were easily able to take care of CP9, and after defeating CP9 they finally decided to leave Water 7 with a new ship that Frankie and Iceberg helped them to create. Since Buggy was more knowledgeable about Oro Jackson, he told Straw Hat to spend a lot of money into this ship since it would be painful to once again throw away their another ship. So making a durable ship would be a much better choice, and they also have to find the shipwright. And in Buggy's view, Frankie, who had no connection with Iceberg right now, was the best choice. And obviously Luffy convinced Frankie to join his pirate crew, and Buggy also helped, and they finally decided to leave. But there was one problem. Usopp had left their crew and he did not seem to join them that easily, especially apologize and return back to the crew. And since Zoro was dead set on making Usopp apologize before joining back, there was low chance of him joining the crew. The only reason why Usopp was even able to join the crew was because he recognized his own strength for the crew and also apologized. But here he did not recognize his strength at all. He did not participate in his battle against CP9 and he had not bid farewell to Mary. So obviously he has not joined back, and just before they leave, Luffy decided to give visit to his former ship one last time, and this time he was going to leave behind all of his feelings for the ship as well as for Usopp and finally move forward. And he did that. He went to the ship and finally stared at it for quite a long time and touched its top head, the head of the ship, for a long time before he finally decided to leave. But just when he was going to leave, he found a strange energy following into his body, and this energy stayed inside the space of his first fruit, the store fruit, and when it reached there, it suddenly got improved, like it literally got improved into a literal soul. And when it appeared as a soul inside that space, it spoke to Luffy. And as soon as Luffy heard the voice of Mary into his head, he panicked for a moment, but eventually he calmed down and he went to his friends and shipmates and he told them about Mary that suddenly appeared in his head. He also told them the progress, and Buggy and Sanji were able to make the sense out of it with the help of Robin and Nami obviously. And after they understood more about Mary and how she appeared inside their brain, Mary also asked Luffy to let Usopp join one last time since he was the one with the most feeling to the crew. She could feel his pain and suffering that he had to go through just to leave this crew. This made everyone quite surprised and also a bit down since they did not know what to do. On one hand, they could not upset Zoro, especially since it is the reputation of the captain himself, and on the other hand they obviously wanted Usopp to join. During their confusion, Mary suddenly gave them an idea to come out of his body as a phantom, find Usopp and convince him to join their group after apologizing to Luffy. Obviously that was Mary's wish and Luffy agreed to that. Luffy agreed to her wish and she went back to invite back Usopp obviously. After a lot of crying and apologizing, Usopp finally joined the crew and they finally set sail toward the Grand Line, or rather Sabaody Archipelago, and on the way Mary decided to enter the Thousand Sunny. She also explained quite a lot about the abilities that she got after she entered Luffy's first fruit space, and inside that space she suddenly found herself growing stronger and getting more abilities such as to travel into different ships and control them, and also create a phantom that was as real as human. And obviously she could still go inside Luffy and get stronger. She also told Luffy about one of his biggest strength, especially the strength of his first devil fruit, and that was while his fruits powers were inside that space, they could grow stronger constantly, and as time passed on they have grown significantly, especially his Hito no Mi that was on the verge of awakening. Surprisingly, for strength fruit there was still quite a lot to develop, so after that suggestion Luffy also focused on developing his strength fruit, and the most recent development that he got from his strength fruit was to improve his his strength after upgrading his original strength. That is the strength that he get without the power of strength fruit. This was the development that he had done quite a long time ago. Even though it was recent for him, it was still quite long time since he had developed his strength fruit to this level. So now he had to go another level above this, and he had no idea what to do. So he decided not to think about it right now and focus on just enjoying the adventure. As they finally visited Moria's ship and destroyed Moria as usual. Because Luffy did not hold back against his attack, he almost crippled Moria. Moria was much more durable than Enel, so he did not die despite getting his internal organs injured. He was still able to survive, and after releasing all of those shadows, Straw Hat finally set sail towards Sabori. Before they reached there, they also met Kemi, and Kemi was quite excited to show them to Sabori Archipelago, especially after they rescued Hachan. And soon they reached Sabori Archipelago, but everything happened the way it should have happened. Luffy still encountered Celestial Dragon because of Kemi's incident, and this time he did not just blasted Celestial Dragon, he literally killed Celestial Dragon. Even though he did not even use armament haki, his punch was so strong that Celestial Dragon literally died on the spot. And because of this, two admirals, one Aokiji and another Kizaru, were sent. Sengoku originally wanted to send Akainu, but because Luffy was Garp's grandson, and if Luffy dies right now, Garp would literally go mad, like literally destroy Marineford, especially considering the fact that his another grandson was getting executed. Even if he does not destroy the Marineford, he might as well leave the Marine and even betray Marine. So this could cause quite trouble for Sengoku, so he decided to send Kizaru and Aokiji. Of course, there was another reason as well, that was to freeze the sea so that the Straw Hats won't be able to escape. Since Luffy had admiral level strength, there is a possibility that they might have a chance to escape, and with Akainu they would not be able to do much if Straw Hat truly escapes. So he had no choice but to send Aokiji with Kizaru, and they finally reach Sabori Archipelago. But I am not going to talk about the battle between Straw Hat Pirates and two admirals in this video. Stay tuned for the next video because I am quite excited. What miracle could Luffy bring to the crew to fight against not one but two admirals? So subscribe for more and also like this video if you enjoy it, and stay tuned for more.